My brothers and sisters, today I will speak words that weigh like iron and burn like fire in the heart. Listen closely, for these words can be your shield in times of trial and your sword in moments of doubt. In life, many speak too much, reveal too much, trust too easily. They scatter their thoughts, their plans, and their struggles like leaves in the wind, hoping for comfort, but receiving only judgment, envy, or betrayal. But a wise man, he walks a different path. He keeps three things private, no matter the cost. The first, his dreams before they are achieved. There is a silent power in the things that remain unspoken. A man's dreams are sacred. They are the whispers of destiny calling him toward something greater. But not all who listen to his dreams will celebrate them. Some will doubt, some will mock, some will secretly plot to see him fail. This is the world we live in. A world where not all smiles are genuine, and not every hand that reaches out is there to lift you. The wise man knows this, and so he guards his dreams like a warrior guards his sword. He understands that speaking too soon, revealing too much, only invites unnecessary obstacles. The dream, in its fragile infancy, must be protected. It must be nurtured in silence, away from prying eyes, until it is strong enough to stand on its own. There is an old truth. What is unknown is untouched, and what is untouched is safe. The moment a dream leaves the confines of the heart and enters the world through words, it becomes vulnerable. The world is filled with those who have abandoned their own dreams and now take pleasure in crushing the hopes of others. They will tell you it is impossible. They will list 100 reasons why you will fail. They do not do this because they are wise, but because they are afraid. Afraid that your success will remind them of their own failures. The wise man does not give them this power. He keeps his aspirations locked within himself, allowing them to grow far from the reach of those who would seek to poison them with doubt. Every great achievement in history was once a quiet thought in the mind of a determined man. The builders of empires, the creators of masterpieces, the men who defied odds, all of them carried their dreams in silence until they became too big to be ignored. A seed does not announce itself before it becomes a tree. It buries itself in the earth, unseen, and gathers strength in the darkness. Only when it is ready does it break through the soil and rise toward the sky. If it were exposed too soon, if its roots were disturbed, it would wither and die before it ever had the chance to bloom. A man's dreams are no different. Speak too soon, and you risk weakening their foundation before they have had the chance to take root. There is an ancient tale of a sculptor who found a rare and perfect piece of marble. He knew at once that it was destined to become a masterpiece. But instead of telling others, instead of boasting about what he would create, he took the marble to his quiet workshop and began his work in solitude. Day and night he chipped away, shaping his vision with patience and precision. Meanwhile, another sculptor, one who had found an equally fine piece of marble, could not contain his excitement. He told everyone of his great plan. People praised him, celebrated him, and his name spread before he had even begun. But with every word of praise, his desire to work diminished. The satisfaction of being admired dulled his hunger to create. In the end, the first sculptor unveiled a masterpiece, while the second abandoned his work, having already spent his energy on words instead of action. The world is filled with such men, those who mistake speaking for doing. They feel that by announcing their dreams, they have already accomplished something. But words do not build empires. Words do not craft masterpieces. Action does. The wise man understands this. He does not seek applause for things he has not yet done. He does not chase admiration before he has proven himself. He works quietly and relentlessly, allowing his efforts to speak for him when the time is right. Those who talk too soon often never reach their destination, for they have already spent their passion in empty declarations. It is not only the doubters and the envious that a man must guard his dreams from. There are also those who love him, who mean well, yet unknowingly plant seeds of hesitation. A family member who fears for his security, a friend who worries about the risk. They speak from care, but their words carry fear, and fear is a poison to ambition. The moment a man allows these voices into his mind, his steps become uncertain. He begins to question himself, to wonder if perhaps they are right. A single moment of doubt can undo years of faith. A wise man knows that even well-intended concern can be a chain around his dreams, so he keeps them private, sharing only when success is undeniable, when his vision has transformed into reality. The road to greatness is a lonely one. It requires patience, resilience, and above all, discipline. Discipline not only in action, but in speech. It is easy to talk, it is easy to seek validation through the approval of others, but true power lies in restraint. The greatest victories are not announced before they happen, they are revealed in the moment of triumph. A warrior does not tell his enemies his battle plan before the war. A hunter does not shout before he has caught his prey, and a wise man does not declare his dreams before they have become unshakable. He moves in silence, builds in secret, and only emerges when there is no longer a force that can stop him. There will come a time when the dream must be shared, but only when it has already been set in motion, when the foundation is unbreakable. By then it is not words that will convince others, but results. A man with results does not need to explain himself. His work speaks for him. He no longer needs approval, for his success is undeniable. Those who doubted him will fall silent. Those who mocked him will watch in awe. And those who believed in him will celebrate, not because he told them, but because they have witnessed it themselves. This is the mark of true achievement, one that does not beg for recognition, but commands it through its mere existence. A dream is a fire. In its early stages it is fragile, easily extinguished by the slightest wind of doubt or negativity. But if protected, if fed with quiet determination, it becomes an unstoppable blaze. Those who expose their fire too soon invite the winds of the world to put it out. The wise man shields his flame, nurtures it in silence, and only when it has become an inferno does he let the world see its light. This is the way of wisdom. This is the way of those who achieve. The second, his struggles while he endures them. Pain is a private teacher, and struggle is its most faithful lesson. Every man who walks the path of greatness will face hardships that test his will, his endurance, and his very spirit. But the wise man knows that not all battles are meant to be announced. There is strength in silence, power in restraint. When a man speaks too soon of his struggles, he invites judgment, pity, and interference. The world is filled with those who listen not to understand but to gossip. Those who pretend to care but secretly rejoice in his suffering. A man's burdens are his own to carry, and sharing them too freely only weakens his resolve. The moment he complains, the moment he seeks comfort in the ears of others, he begins to depend on their sympathy instead of his own resilience. True strength is forged in solitude, not in the approval or concern of others. There is an unspoken truth that most people will not admit. Many do not truly want to see others overcome their struggles. Some will offer advice laced with hidden envy, hoping that failure will follow. Others will pretend to help but will use a man's hardships as a story to tell, a secret to share. Even those closest to him, those who love him, may unintentionally weaken his resolve with their fears and concerns. They will tell him to be cautious, to reconsider, to step back. They will call it wisdom, but often it is only fear disguised as care. The wise man listens but does not waver. He understands that his struggles are his own, and they must be faced alone. He does not seek approval, nor does he expect understanding. He walks forward, despite the weight, despite the storm, knowing that true endurance is found in silence. A man who shares his struggles too soon often finds himself trapped in the opinions of others. Every person he confides in will have something to say. Some will offer hope, some will offer doubt, but none will truly understand what he is facing. Words do not ease suffering, they only remind a man of his pain. And the more he speaks of his hardships, the more they consume him. A wound that is picked at constantly will never heal. It must be left alone, given time to close on its own. A wise man treats his struggles the same way. He does not give them more power by speaking of them repeatedly. He endures them in silence, allowing time to be his healer, allowing his own strength to be his guide. There is a story of a warrior who was wounded in battle. He could have returned to his village and sought sympathy, shown his scars and told of his pain. But he did not. He wrapped his wound, stood tall, and continued forward. Those who saw him did not know he was injured, they only saw his strength, and because of this, they followed him, believed in him. Had he spoken of his pain, had he shown his weakness, doubt would have spread. His men would have questioned his leadership. His enemies would have seen an opportunity. But because he endured in silence, he remained powerful, untouchable. This is the way of the wise. He does not reveal his pain while he is still in battle. He fights, he struggles, but he does so without seeking pity or attention. There is a difference between seeking help and seeking validation. A man who is truly lost, who has exhausted all options, may seek guidance from one who is wise, from one who has walked the path before him. But many do not seek wisdom, they seek comfort. They wish to be told that they are not to blame, that their struggles are unfair, that they deserve better. This weakens a man. It turns him into a victim, reliant on the approval of others rather than his own inner strength. A warrior does not ask the battlefield for permission to fight. He does not seek the opinions of the crowd before he raises his sword. He fights, whether the world watches or not. He faces his struggles head-on, without announcing them, without asking for permission to endure. Pain is temporary, but the lessons it teaches are permanent. Every struggle, every hardship is shaping a man into something stronger, but this process is not meant to be shared while it is happening. When a blacksmith forges a blade, he does not show it to the world before it is complete. He heats it, hammers it, shapes it in silence. Only when it is finished does he present it, sharp and unbreakable. A man's struggles are no different. If he reveals them too soon, if he complains before he has conquered them, he invites doubt, both from others and from within himself. The wise man does not expose his hardships before they have turned into victories. He works, he endures, and only when the fire has made him stronger does he let the world see what he has become. Some will say that silence is loneliness, that a man must share his burdens or risk being consumed by them. But the truth is, a man who keeps his struggles private is not alone. He is simply in the company of his own strength. He learns to rely on himself, to trust in his own ability to endure. He does not need constant reassurance, nor does he seek validation for his pain. He understands that suffering is a natural part of growth, and that those who overcome it without seeking attention are the ones who rise above it. A man who can endure hardship without complaint is a man who can face anything. He does not need the world to see his struggle. He only needs to know that he has conquered it within himself. The greatest men in history, those who achieved the impossible, did not cry out about their suffering while they endured it. They carried their burdens in silence, knowing that one day their struggles would become their strength. A mountain does not complain about the storms that shape it. A river does not weep for the rocks it must carve through. They endure, they persist, and in doing so they become something greater. A wise man follows the same path. He does not speak of his hardships while they are upon him. He does not beg for sympathy or search for understanding. He moves forward, step by step, until the struggle is behind him. And when he finally speaks of it, it is not as a victim, but as a victor. There will come a time when the struggle is over, when the battle has been won. Only then does a man have the right to speak of his hardships, not to seek pity, but to offer wisdom to those who walk the path behind him. But while he is still in the fire, while the weight is still upon his shoulders, he remains silent. He does not let the world see him struggle, he only lets them see him rise. This is the way of the strong, the way of those who endure. This is the way of the wise. The third. His family's conflicts and secrets. A family is a fortress, a sacred bond that must be protected at all costs. Within its walls, there are joys and sorrows, victories and disputes, moments of great love and times of deep conflict. But the wise man understands that what happens within his home is not for the world to see. Family matters are like the roots of a tree, buried, unseen, but essential for strength and stability. If a man exposes these roots, if he speaks too freely of the troubles within his household, he invites destruction. The world is not always kind. Some will listen with curiosity, not concern. Others will twist his words, using his pain as entertainment. And many will judge, offering advice without understanding, creating distance where there should be unity. A wise man guards his family's conflicts as he would his own wounds, knowing that healing comes from within, not from the opinions of outsiders. Every family faces struggles. There are disagreements, moments of anger, times when misunderstandings threaten to divide those who should stand together. It is in these moments that a man's wisdom is tested. A fool will rush to speak of his family's faults, complaining to friends, to colleagues, even to strangers, seeking validation for his grievances. But in doing so, he dishonors his home. Words once spoken cannot be taken back. What is said in anger may be forgiven within the family, but it will not be forgotten by those outside of it. A man who exposes his family's struggles to the world creates wounds that do not easily heal. He allows outsiders to form opinions, to judge, to interfere. The wise man does not make this mistake. He understands that family is not perfect, but it is his responsibility to protect its dignity. He works through conflicts quietly, within the home where they belong. There is a story of two brothers who inherited a vast land from their father. One day a dispute arose between them over the borders of their fields. In his frustration, the younger brother went to the village and spoke of the injustice he felt, telling everyone of his elder brother's supposed greed. The people listened, offering their own judgments, turning a private disagreement into a public scandal. The elder brother, hurt by the betrayal, withdrew further, and the divide between them grew. Years passed, and their bond was never repaired. Had the younger brother kept their dispute within the family, they could have resolved it in private, as brothers should. But because he exposed their conflict, he destroyed the trust between them. A wise man learns from such mistakes. He does not let temporary emotions lead him to permanent consequences. He keeps his family's struggles within the home, for he knows that once outsiders become involved, the damage may never be undone. The world does not love a man's family as he does. It does not see the sacrifices, the shared history, the deep bonds that tie loved ones together. It sees only the flaws, the weaknesses, the imperfections that every family has. A man who speaks too freely of his family's problems invites criticism that is neither fair nor helpful. Others will whisper about what they do not understand, spreading rumors, making judgments, creating divisions where there should be healing. And once such words spread, they can never be taken back. A family's reputation, once stained, is difficult to restore. A wise man understands this. He does not give the world the power to break what he is meant to protect. He shields his family from unnecessary scrutiny, keeping their struggles private, ensuring that their dignity remains intact. A home is built not just with walls, but with trust. When a man speaks of his family's conflicts to outsiders, he weakens that trust. His wife, his children, his parents, those who share his home, must feel secure, knowing that their struggles are safe within the family. A wife who fears that her husband will speak of her mistakes to others will never feel at peace. A child who knows that his father shares his failures with strangers will grow distant, unable to trust fully. A home where privacy is not respected is not a home, it is a house filled with suspicion and fear. The wise man ensures that his family feels safe, that their private matters remain private. He does not betray their trust by exposing their flaws to the world. Instead, he strengthens their bond by keeping their struggles within the walls of their home. Some will argue that a man must share his burdens, that he must seek counsel in difficult times. This is true, but there is a difference between seeking wisdom and exposing one's family to judgment. A wise man does not speak of his family's conflicts to those who cannot help. He does not turn his home into a spectacle for others to observe and criticize. If guidance is needed, he seeks it discreetly from one who is truly wise, one who values discretion and understands the weight of such matters. He does not seek validation from those who have no stake in his family's well-being. He does not allow the temporary satisfaction of venting to lead to the permanent damage of broken trust. A family's struggles, when handled with wisdom, can become its greatest source of strength. Every conflict is an opportunity for understanding, for growth, for deeper bonds to be formed. But this can only happen if these struggles remain within the family. If a man allows outsiders to meddle, to take sides, to influence his household, he weakens the unity that should be his greatest foundation. Families that endure together, that resolve their conflicts privately, become unshakable. They are not divided by the opinions of others. They do not allow temporary anger to become permanent estrangement. A wise man knows this. He does not let outsiders dictate the fate of his home. He takes responsibility for resolving conflicts, ensuring that his family remains whole. There is an old saying, "A house divided against itself cannot stand." A man who does not protect his family's privacy allows division to creep in. Gossip, misunderstandings, interference from those who do not belong, all of these weaken the foundation of a home. A wise man understands that some matters must never leave the household. He does not speak of his family's conflicts to those who have no part in solving them. He does not allow temporary frustrations to lead him to betray the trust of those he loves. Instead, he chooses patience, wisdom, and discretion. He knows that a family's strength lies in its unity, and unity can only be maintained when privacy is respected. A time may come when the conflict is over, when wounds have healed and lessons have been learned. Only then may a man speak of his family's struggles. Not to seek pity or validation, but to offer wisdom to others who may face the same trials. But while the battle is still being fought, while emotions are still raw, he remains silent. He does not let the world witness his family's struggles. He only lets them see their strength. This is the way of the wise, the way of those who protect what is most sacred. This is the way of those who understand that family is not for the world to judge, but for them to cherish and defend. A wise man walks through life with the understanding that silence is power, and restraint is wisdom. He does not speak of his dreams before they are realized, for he knows that the world is filled with doubt, envy, and distraction. He nurtures his ambitions in secrecy, allowing them to grow strong before unveiling them to the world. He does not seek applause before his work is done, nor does he allow the voices of others to shake his resolve. His success is not announced, it is revealed when the time is right. He understands that struggles are a part of every great journey, but he does not let the world witness his suffering while he is still enduring it. He does not beg for sympathy, nor does he allow the doubts of others to weaken his will. He fights his battles in silence, knowing that true strength is built in solitude. When he speaks of hardship, it is not as a victim, but as a man who has conquered. His scars are not shown as wounds, but as proof of endurance. Above all, he protects his family's dignity. He does not expose their conflicts to the world, knowing that trust within the home is sacred. He does not let temporary frustrations lead to permanent damage. What happens within the family stays within the family, for privacy is the foundation of unity. He does not allow the interference of outsiders to weaken the bond that must remain unbreakable. In all things, The wise man chooses silence over unnecessary speech, action over empty words, and strength over fleeting validation. His path is not one of seeking approval, but of mastering himself. May we all learn from this wisdom and walk with the same quiet strength. Thank you, and may God bless you all.